Hello, good afternoon. It says I'm live. Live chat. Check, sound check. Make sure everything is plugged in and working. I believe it is. So, how be you, non visible audience? I guess that another word for non visible is invisible, right? We'll go ahead and get started with the routine stuff I always want to cover. Like, hit your like button. I can't tell you how many times I forget to hit the like button when I'm watching other people's videos. So I'm sorry if it's annoying that I'm constantly reminding everybody, but it helps a lot. Same thing with subscribing. Hey, Sherry, what's going on? How are you? Please make sure you're still subscribed. If you are subscribed, if you're not, consider doing so. And turn on your notification bell to ring when I drop a video or come on live, and share a video of mine with somebody that you think might like it, or share it in a Facebook group. Anna Bees, what's going on? So yeah, I saw you in Shan's chat last night, Anna Bees, right before I started to doze off. I don't know if Sherry ever made it. That was cool, wasn't it? That was nice. It was like old times. We used to always hang out in Shan's chats. Which one should I highlight? I'm so excited. I've got my cursor back, so now I don't have to curse so much. Pin message. Okay, so everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, be educational. All my videos are made for YouTube. It's an infotainment platform. And, I just feel like I have so many freaking questions. Like, that's what my channel is about. I have 1,000,001 questions that, I do like to say the answer is always in the question, but I don't feel like I have the answers. I want to be clear on that. Sometimes it might sound like I feel like I have the answers because I might speak with conviction. However, I'd say more than half the time, I'm hoping that I'm dead wrong. I'm almost like putting it out there to like jinx myself, to make a fool of myself, because I'm very suspicious, superstitious. That's the word I'm looking for. Super superstitious. And yeah, sorry that you didn't make it, Sherry. It was all the old crew. It was really cool. I mean, not all the old crew. Blah, blah, blah. My mouth is not working. Maybe I should drink more coffee. Come on, mouth, get it together. I thought the mouth was ready because the brain is ready. Okay, I'm kind of freaking out. Are you ready? Are you ready for me to share what I'm freaking out about today? Sometimes I feel like I'm in a panic, like we got to do something before the big E takes over the universe. Too late. He already has. We got to do something before there's like no going back. I think that there's always an opportunity to go back. That whole like past the point of no return, that pretty much only exists when you're flying a rocket into space. But it's a term that we use a lot metaphorically because it seems like it's true in real life. But I think you can always turn things around, and you never know where things are going to go. So a lot of things that happen that can seem like hashtag other things, like doomsday. Sometimes it is absolutely a blessing in disguise. You just can't see it at the time. And then sometimes something that happens that you think is a dream come true, it can actually be a nightmare. I mean, that was like the whole theme of the old good old Fantasy Island television show. I understand what you're saying. Oh, Anna Bees, you and I are like freaks of a feather that flock together, are we not? So this is what I'm freaking out about today. You've heard me talk about the price of eggs, right? I mean, there's another guy in our country who talks about the price of eggs incessantly. The man will not shut up. It's like, put an egg in it, dude. And he always has this story like, everyone's complaining to me about the price of eggs. I just got here. It's like, yeah, that was cute the first time you said it. Quit saying it. You didn't just get here. You were here for 4 years, 4 years ago. And now that you've been here for over 100 days, the honeymoon is over. Get on with it, old man who can't stand up. I mean, he's like literally like falling asleep in his freaking giant chair at his Resolute desk yesterday while having all these performative conversations. Everything is worse. So this is where I'm going, Annabise. The price of eggs. You know how I've said, like, I think that that's symbolic of like the whole Handmaid's Tale reproduction, baby farms, like women's eggs, not chickens' eggs, but human eggs. I do. I believe that. What I hadn't thought about until this morning, and it wasn't me that thought of it, it was a YouTube channel that said something about it, and I was like, it struck a chord, and I was like, wait a second. And of course I didn't write the YouTube channel down, so I don't remember at the moment what it was, but they were talking about dolls. They were talking about dolls and how dolls are symbolic of something. And I immediately started Googling things about Handmaid's Tale and dolls in the story of The Handmaid's Tale. You know, I read the book back in, what was it, the late 80s. I saw the movie as soon as it came out. I think that was like early 90s. I have not been able to watch any of the television show, the Hulu. I just can't. Like, reading the book was awful. Watching the movie was awful. I don't recommend it. but it's become this thing in our culture that's gotten so popular, and it's so creepy. And now I'm learning about this concept of baby farms, right? So, Anna Bees, was it you that was saying the other day that Mark Z, the billionaire, has his giant property on Kauai? And I said, well, I thought it was Maui. So I looked that up. It's Bezos who's got the Maui compound with the underground bunker. So you're absolutely correct if it was you about Mark. He's got Kauai. So are they doing baby farms there already? Is there already a Handmaid's Tale thing happening? Like, I know this can sound completely flipped out. Okay, just put me in a straitjacket and lock me in a rubber room. Could that be where Maddie Mogan, Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, and Kaylee Gonzalez are, and Kylie Rodney? Could they all be locked in a Handmaid's Tale nightmare in an underground bunker, reproducing beautiful, perfect humanoids? It's pretty sick. It's pretty twisted. It's pretty freaking out there. But it seems that these people, when they have all the money in the world, it's not about money. It's not even about admiration and adoration. I mean, that's part of it, of course. But more than anything, I think it's about power and control. So trying to control other people. We've got the Trumpster fire doing that on a political level. We've got the Big E. I hear the puppy scratching in her crate. I put the crate here in the studio thinking that it was a good idea. I might need to set her out back, but here I'll show her to you guys. Hold on. Come here, baby. Come here, little rascal. Come here, cuteness. Oh, she is such a love bug. I showed her yesterday and she was all Maddie, and then she got a bath, and today she's just perfect. So I was afraid she might be a distraction, but she's got the silliest little body. Look at her. She's so floppy. So she's all long hair. She's the exact same size as Mookie, but she's only 4 or 5 months old, so she'll keep growing. Although she probably won't be as big as a regular Cocker Spaniel because her dad is not very big. He might be part like miniature Cocker Spaniel or something. I don't know. She's trying to talk. Okay. I haven't read the book or seen the movie. Yes, it was me in Kauai. Yeah, MZ. That's a good thing to call him, MZ. I didn't know about Bezos and Maui. Right, because I remember when the Lahaina fires were happening, and I remember now what the name of the colony of people living off the land. I think it's called Maui Country or Lahaina Country. So I think that they were trying to get rid of all those people. I think it was a few thousand people, like 2 or 3,000. But um yeah, we don't hear anything about it, do we? Oh, she's such a love bug. And of course, Oprah owns a large chunk of Maui, but uh yeah, it seems that Zuck is on that other island, Kauai, and Bezos is the one with the Maui connection. So these evil people that want to be gods didn't know about Bezos and Maui. Yeah. Should I put the puppy outside? She's just such a distraction. She's such an adorable distraction. Who can talk about the evil in the world when you got a little Muppet face like this? Her silly fur. She looks so much like that character Zoe on Sesame Street. She's kind of newer for us old people. Come here, baby. And I told you that her name is Chi because, the name she came with is Cheese, which is ridiculous and not cute at all, in my opinion. So I was trying to come up with something, an alternative, and Chi it is, because she is a life force to be reckoned with. She also kind of looks like a lemur or something, doesn't she? She's a little monkey. Oh, she's such a love bug. So let's talk about the evil while we're cuddling the puppy. And it all balances out, right? She is precious. I know she is. She's such a handful, which is why I haven't adopted a puppy in 8 years. But my son's girlfriend did, and then she got totally overwhelmed, asked us to foster her. We said okay. And then her and my son, they decided against it because, they just want to keep their baby. And then they were just like, take the baby. We can't deal. I mean, they have a cat. She has a cat at her apartment, and he'll be moving in with her when he turns 18. But the puppy is just too much. They'll probably take her back when she calms down in a year or two. But for the meantime, she'll be overruling our house. Sorry, I was getting coffee. Yes, she's precious. Oh, she is so precious. I could try to put her back in her crate and see if she won't settle down, because she's so calm right now. She must be exhausted. One sec. Come here, baby. If she starts scritching and scratching in there, I'll have to take her to the back door, because I can't set her loose in the house. She will eat everything. She's been eating our couch. Like, seriously, we have to get a new couch. And yesterday I was putting on socks and she grabbed one out of my hand. Like, I'm holding it. I know she's trying to grab it, and she got it anyway. Like, she ran off with it. I had to chase her, grab my sock, tried to put it on again. She almost did the exact same thing again. She's fast. She's a clever little puppy. Okay, so these are the things I wanted to talk about today. The eggs and the dolls. So, that crap about, like, oh, well, the kids used to have 30 dolls. Maybe this year they can have 2 dolls. And maybe they'll cost a couple of bucks more. They don't need 30 dolls. So, one of the things that I think tipped me off into thinking this guy is really twisted about these freaking dolls because he won't let it go, was when he said a baby girl, an 11-year-old baby girl doesn't need 30 dolls, maybe 3, 4, 5. Oh, how generous, Mr. Scrooge. How generous. 5 dolls. Okay. Like, how many loaves of bread can we have a week? Is that where we're headed? But then I heard him say, and I try to avoid him because he's I can't stand his voice, I can't stand his face, but I try to keep up with the news, and it's a conundrum. Anyway, I heard him say baby girl again, talking about a baby girl and the 30 dolls that she doesn't need, and he said 15-year-old baby girl. These tweens and teens are not baby girls. Like, it's kind of perverted and creepy, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly. I don't know 11-year-old girls that play with dolls. I mean, I've got 4 children, two girls, 2 boys. I don't think I know of a single 15-year-old that plays with a freaking doll. It just doesn't happen. Is he just that out of touch with reality, or is it something darker and more sinister, tying in with the eggs and the baby dolls? So the thing that the internet told me about the baby dolls, or the dolls with the Handmaid's Tale, and it took me back to that other movie, Sharp Objects, or not movie, but HBO series, because that whole series, Sharp Objects, focuses around a dollhouse. And obviously I love miniature stuff, I love dollhouses, but I don't even remember from The Handmaid's Tale that dollhouses were a central part of that story too, I guess, and that it really symbolizes the control over the people, the expectations, kind of the Stepford Wives kind of mentality, and the grooming, the whole process of setting up a society like that. So we got the price of eggs, we got the baby dolls. And remember when Melania decorated the White House at Christmas in a Handmaid's Tale theme? And I think a lot of people were noting that because it was at the time when The Handmaid's Tale was really popular, the television show. And there were a lot of comments about it and wisecracks and stuff, in an almost joking way, but there's truth to every joke. I almost wonder if she was trying to let people know something was going on. I know it's nuts, but these people are freaking nuts. If Elon wants to have 5,000 babies, I would bet my last dollar that he's already got way over 100. The estimates of some of these people claiming that they know things that point to him having over 100 already. I mean, he's got that ranch in Texas. Little E bought that Zorro Ranch out there in New Mexico for the purpose of making a baby farm. Up front, that was his reasoning behind purchasing it. And he doesn't have any offspring that we know of. How many offspring might he have that we don't know of? Jeffrey. I mean, they're all into the eugenics thing. Okay, let me look at my notes some more. So that's what had me freaking out today. The eggs, the baby dolls, the Handmaid's Tale. I'm still not convinced that Kylie Rodney is deceased, and I always say that trepidatiously because I don't want to be a monkey wrench in the process of trying to figure out what happened to her. But with her beauty, I mean, she's your prototypical dream girl for a lot of guys, not to mention her super intelligence level and her prodigy level musical talent. Who wouldn't want to reproduce that if they could? And then these egomaniac billionaire dudes, they were going to want their DNA commingled with that DNA. I mean, it's sick and twisted, but let me give you a minute to stew on that. Yes, he was Jewish, Annabees. Yeah. Yeah, Sherry, you hadn't heard that about Big E already potentially having over 100 children and his goal is 5,000? Like, who are these people? I mean, I have 4 and it's hard to give them all the attention that they need, you know? I feel particularly bad for the middle children because they're middle children. Here, I'm going to take the dog outside because she's chewing on something and I don't want her to break her teeth. So one sec. Come here, little Chi. Come here, baby. Come here. You are nuts. Let's go outside. I'm back. I should have done the thing. Talk amongst yourselves, right? Here we are with our coffee talk. Coffee talk. I swear I can't talk today. What the F is wrong with me mouth? Me brain not communicating with me mouth. I thought everything was fine until I come on and try speaking. My daughter and granddaughter don't like dolls. Is it because they're teething? They will do that. Yeah, she is definitely teething. Annabees, the little puppy dog, she wants to chew on everything. And yeah, we try to have enough chew toys for her, but then the other dogs try to steal them too. They are all the evil that has been talked about. Well, and right now they're just continuing with all this crazy. So they're talking about these, you know, this big deal that went down yesterday. They're pretending this is when Donnie was sitting behind the Resolute desk and looked like he was sleeping, trying to say that they've made this giant successful negotiation with the UK and that, you know, we've come out on top. And what is it, a 10% tariff across the boards, except I'm not sure if the auto parts are exempt. I think they are. I think that they were saying the auto parts are completely exempt. If not, they're just at the 10%, but everybody else is going to be having the 25% with the auto parts. So that's why they were all making these jokes about how wonderful it's going to be when they order their new Rolls Royce. And Trumpster Fire's like, well, you know, I just bought a Tesla. And again, he called it a Tesla. It's like, does he not know? Does he not know? Can he not remember? It's bizarre. Anyway, you know, it was just really annoying. You know, they're talking about Jaguars and Range Rovers and all these lovely cars. Yeah, wouldn't we all like to have a fleet of Bentleys and such? I mean, I've been in a Rolls Royce only once, but man, holy caboli. It's outrageous. It is outrageous. These things talk about next level, the way the billionaires live. It belonged to a LA attorney, a very high and mighty rainmaker. The Rolls Royce did. Crazy. Anyway, um, 10% tariffs across the boards with the UK. Like, we don't really buy a lot of things from the UK. All right. Um, I guess that right now the ports are just completely not doing what they do. Like, there's just not shipments, there's not containers, there's people are not there working, unloading. So, the trickle down effect is starting, where truckers aren't going to have jobs, the shelves aren't going to be filled. What types of shortages are we looking at? And one of the many problems with this oligarchy and this monopoly that they're creating, so what they canceled the FAA system. They said it was out of date. And so they're like replacing it with Starfleet, I think. Like, isn't that a monopoly? Aren't they creating a monopoly for the big E with Starfleet? So he's going to have full control over everything in the fucking universe. I'm past my first 7 minutes, so I can say it. I just can't hold back on that one. Sorry, not sorry. I mean, these people are doing everything illegal. And I'm no law expert, but I do have some common sense. I do have some experience. This whole thing with Mr. Garcia, I can never say his whole name. The guy that they sent to El Salvador that was supposed to had a court order to not be deported. They're still refusing to return him. They're still defying the Supreme Court. All 9 justices ruled that they must return him, that they must facilitate the return. They gave them a 2-week window of time that they had to do it in, and they're not doing it. So what are the courts going to do to hold these people in contempt of court? I mean, they're argumentative. They're crazy. Have you guys seen these hearings with like Kash Patel? That man is like the ugliest POS I've ever seen in my freaking life. And maybe if he wasn't so evil in his attitude, he wouldn't look like the ugliest piece of crap I've ever laid eyes on. But he is one slithering snake. And so is that puppy killer Christy Nome, man. Argumentative, disrespectful. Like, it's as if they were given marching orders to do this to these people that they're supposed to be answering to in Congress. So Kash Patel has no budget request for Congress. You've probably heard about that. And Patty Murray, she's a senator, was taking his feet to the fire. Like, well, why don't you have it? When are you going to have it? What's your timeline? I don't know. And she's like, unacceptable. And he's yelling at her. Like, they had a deadline to approve the budget. Congress had a deadline to approve the budget a few days ago, but there's no budget to approve. And he's not even telling them that he's got a concept of a plan. He doesn't even have a concept of a plan to fall back on that ridiculousness. And then the whole thing with the tariffs with the UK, they're pretending that they have it all hammered out and that they've sealed the deal and they put a nice red bow on it and put it on the shelf and we're good to go. But no, that's not really the case. They're going to have it hammered out in the next couple of weeks. Little Trumpster Fire says. In the next couple of weeks. Oh, is that when you're going to have the healthcare plan concept hammered out as well? It's always a couple of weeks, a couple of months. It's like these people are just procrastinators. They're like worse than I was when I was a freshman in college. And I told you guys, I procrastinated everything my freshman year. I don't know if I ever started a paper prior to the night before it was due. And that didn't matter if it was a 3-page paper or a 10-page paper, or I might have even had a 20-page paper that I had to crank out overnight. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was very stressful. You can't live like that. I mean, when you're 19, you can barely pull it off. But yeah, I mean, by the time I went to graduate school, I did just the opposite. I kind of started everything as quickly as it was assigned. And then, once you start, it just kind of rolls. And then you have plenty of time to revise it. And you're not stressed out. You're not giving yourself a heart attack. You don't feel like you've got this big dark cloud over your head. The anxiety. But anyway, back to my point. It's like, does this administration just procrastinate the things that they're supposed to do, or do they just not care the things that they're supposed to do, and then when they get called on it, then they pretend that they're just about to get to it? It's on my list of things to do. It's next up. I swear. Like, I seriously am waiting for the dog ate my homework excuse. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've expected that to be the next words that have come out of these freaks' mouths, even our president. Like, oh, well, I had the whole plan completed, and then the dog, the little puppy that I just showed you, she went over there to the White House and shredded it, pulled it right out of his hand. Come on, people. Come on. All of this is mind-blowing. I don't know that much about him. All electronics for sure. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the electronics and the China thing. China. And the Russia thing. He needs to be in jail. Don't they all belong in prison? I mean, that's what happens to people when they defy the courts. When you're held into contempt of court, you get put in jail. I'm glad you watch all this for us that can't. I told you I try not to look at it because it's stressful and it makes me sick, but then I can't look away from the train wreck. But a lot of the way I get the material, I watch some of these news channels like the Bulwark, um, like the Adam Mockler, some of the more serious ones, the I've Had It. They have a little bit of humor to them, but I balance it out with like the Hal Sparks. Like, he's really knowledgeable and he's funny AF. Stephen Colbert and Seth Meyers and Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon, all of that comedy helps a lot. But sometimes I feel like I don't have time for the comedy and I just want to get the information. And what I find really annoying is when I've gone to the source, I've gotten the information, and then watching all the different channels recycle it. Sometimes that can be good because you're getting different perspectives on things and different people have thought at different angles. But it also can just be repetitive. And it's like, I'm trying to keep up. It's just kind of an instinct that I'm having right now. I've had it my whole life since I was a teenager. My grandfather, who was the retired colonel from the U.S. Army, he kept up with current affairs and he thought I didn't. And it's funny because maybe I've told this story once before. I was in high school and he thought that I was just your regular high school slacker. Even though I got straight A's, I was a total jock and all the rest of it. I was also a party animal that he didn't know about, but maybe he did because he thought I was a slacker. But that was just as a colonel in the Army, that's just how they operate. It doesn't matter if you're getting straight A's. When are you going to get like triple A's, right? I mean, always a slacker. Everybody. You can always do better. Seriously. Anyway, he asked me one day if I knew anything about what was going on with Oliver North. This was in like 1984, 1985. And I wouldn't get into it with him. Maybe that's why he thought I didn't keep up with current events, because I was never going to get into an argument with him about it, which was what he loved to do. So when he asked me if I knew anything about Oliver North, he figured that I didn't. And I said, you mean the Oliver Twist? And he cracked up. So it was great because it avoided having a discussion about it. He just laughed and was so pleased that I thought of this funny little joke and that I knew what he was talking about. But what's interesting right now, today, in 2025, an entire 40 years later, that Oliver North case is still central in my mind to all of this crap that's going on right now, including Jeffrey little e, including all of it, including Russia, 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 China, 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 Trumpster fire, Trumpster fire, Trumpster fire. It all has to do with contraband. So let me look at my notes because I can't even remember some of the crap that I was going to share with you guys. A lot of the money, Tulsi freaking Gabbard, was her father is some kind of CLUT leader. She grew up in a CULT. She doesn't like you to call it a CULT. I think the Hawaii one. So they're not just into the kinky weird stuff, and probably the baby farms. That's probably a lot of these baby farms are part of these, whether it's the factions of the Church of Latter-day Saints or the Hare Krishnas or whatever it is. It's probably exactly what is going on with those places. They consolidate all their money. They have millions of dollars. They can do these underground bunkers. They can traffic these people. Some of these people they might coerce and volunteer, but a lot of these people they're probably going to have to abduct. Like, who's going to sign up for that crap? You know, some people fall under these spells, and some people are more susceptible to that. Anyway, so Tulsi Gabbard, who I knew was probably a double or triple agent, what I didn't know is that the CULT that she's a part of, that her father's a part of, was like funding contraband for Israeli troops, I think. I have it in my notes. The Taliban. There we go. Big rug empire, billions of dollars to fund the Taliban. So my thumbnail, I hadn't talked about that yet. The thumbnail and the title of this video, it's like, and again, I didn't invent this idea, but somebody else did. And if I could only give them credit, I would, if I remember who it was. I think it was somebody's like community post where they said, you know, we have an American Pope and a Russian president. And I was just like, damn, this is why I have to take notes, because there's too much information. But I thought, sometimes I think, oh, I'll remember who it was that said that. And then I can't remember. And then if I find it, I'll put it in the description, but I don't know if I'll find it. Okay, what I started to say and I didn't get to is Mr. T's obsession with the water pressure. I started to go there a few minutes ago. I have worried for a long time in this second presidency that there's a lot more to that than just him being a whacked out weirdo that obsesses on eggs and dolls and water pressure. I have figured that he's planning on sabotaging water systems, and they've already started deconstructing the regulations with the water pressure. He says because he wants to have more water come out of the shower head. And he literally, this is almost a direct quote, says something about, you know, how he wants the water to wash over his beautiful hair. It's like, dude, give it up, man. Let somebody else do your hair. You're doing a really bad job. or just get a freaking wig and get on with your life. Like, nobody cares. But that comb over has got to stop. What my favorite thing about it is the way it looks like it's square. It's hilarious. But anyway, I mean, if you don't have good hair, how do you expect to be president, right? It's all about the good hair days. So we've got a Russian president with bad hair. It can't get any worse. Just give him his own hairdresser, put him in that room that Hegseth built at the Pentagon. He needs a new makeup person too. He should not be allowed to do his own hair or his own makeup. He's terrible at it. And we have to look at him. Come on, have some empathy. So yeah, the problem with the water pressure, I am very concerned about that. I know a lot of people have expressed concern about like turning off the power grid and trying to control and basically terrify people with that. And that would be very hard for any of us that are so used to having electricity. I don't know what I would do with my chakra tower, although it's pretty much battery operated, so I'd still have that, so I'll survive. But all the other lights, I mean, I'm joking, but yeah, we are all so used to having electricity. Not just first world countries, but even some of the third world countries are used to having electricity now. And then you get dependent on it. But there are a lot of people in medical situations that are absolutely dependent on it. And if the electricity is shut down, their bodies will shut down. And that is extraordinarily frightening that anybody would even conceive of toying with that. And yeah, there's a lot of evil people in the world, but are we really going to elect somebody like Ted Bundy to be a world leader? Can we just like not do that, please? No Jeffrey Dahmers in control of large populations of people. No Adolfs. No Musks. No Tulsis. No RFK Juniors. No Vladdies. No Donnies. Like, these people need to be put in their place. And I would almost say that place would be the El Salvador prison, but, you know, first they need to go through the court system, and then they can go to a legal American system, right? Now, Libya, they made a contract last week with, what country was it? Rwanda, $100,000 contract to start sending prisoners to Rwanda. Now Libya, like, you can't send all these prisoners to other countries, but they just do whatever the F they want. It is really effing crazy. Hey, Mrs. Amir, my dear, how are you today? Let's see. Off topic. Did you get a feeling that there was trolls in Shan's live last night? Absolutely. No, not off topic. I want to say nothing's off topic. I mean, seriously, it's such a crap fest. Yeah, there were a couple of trolls in there, and it seemed like some of the people in her chat were more familiar with them. But she was handling it well. She was doing a good job. So Oliver North was a patsy. Thank you, Annabees. Absolutely. So the whole thing with the Oliver twist, yeah, he was hung out to dry. That's what our government does, is they fund these operations, and then they try to hang it on somebody like him. And I'm proud to say that my grandparents actually donated money to him and his family for like their legal fees or something. I'm not even sure, but they got a Christmas card from Oliver North and his family every year after that. Because again, my grandfather had been in the service for 30 years. So he knew that whole thing was a crock, that And this is the conundrum that people get in when they're with a corrupt supervisor, is they're told to do something that's illegal. If they don't do it, they're going to get fired, or worse. If they do it, they're going to be the one held accountable for their own actions. Like, yeah, their supervisor may or may not get held accountable for their actions, and more often than not, they're not held accountable because they throw the person under the bus and say, well, I didn't know they were doing that, when they did. They not only knew it, they orchestrated it. So yeah, when your employer, when anybody asks you or tells you to do something illegal, it's on you to not do it. So if you're law enforcement, if you're military, if you're a politician, whatever it is, if you do anything illegal, you're the one that's going to be held accountable. You can't say, well, my supervisor made me do it. Well, you're autonomous. You have your own agency. You decided to do it rather than walking out the door, or rather than negotiating. I mean, people ask us to do things that we don't want to do all the time. Our friends, our family, our employers, it's always a back and forth. You have to push back. You have to. You can't just let people use you like a doormat like that, because if you do, they'll continue to do it as much as they can get away with. It's awful. I want to say it's almost like human nature, but I don't think it is. I think a lot of people are like that, but I think a lot of people aren't. So, um, let's see. Yes, I remember that. I watched it faithfully on TV. They're all playing both sides. Crap. All sides. Yeah, that's a good one, Anna Bees. I love having you guys in here to converse with. It's so nice when there's the back and forth. It makes it so much more interesting. So thank you guys much for your conversation. I thought he was just complaining about the water pressure because he couldn't flush his big dumps. I know. There's a lot of good jokes about it, but he's obsessed. He's obsessed with the water pressure, just like he's obsessed with the effing price of eggs, and he's obsessed with these freaking baby dolls. I think the lying liars, they always tell on themselves. They always give themselves away. In computers, in TV, etc. Yes, we need electricity in the hospital. Exactly. A ventilator, a BiPAP, everything. A defibrillator. Yeah. Right. I know. I always think of like oxygen machines. I mean, of course, you can have your oxygen tank portable, but yeah, you need to be hooked up. I mean, my mom, when she was on her dialysis, she had to get that dialysis every few days, or that would have taken her life. And you can't do dialysis without electricity. That's nuts. It's a lot of electricity. That's a lot of pushing and pulling. You're like literally draining the blood out of the person, cleaning it, and then pushing the blood back into them. It's gross. And it has to be sterile. So the entire everything has to be sterile. That's why they usually have these dialysis locations like DaVita. I don't know if there's another one other than DaVita, but they're sterile. You have to have it sterilized. Everything has to be sterilized. Not very many nursing homes or hospitals have on-site dialysis. Some do, but it's really expensive and you have to be very specialized. Some people do dialysis in their homes, but again, everything has to be sterile and you have to be very precise or it's fatal. So yeah, good to see you, Sherry. Thanks so much for being here. Have a great day. Yeah, we definitely wish you the best. See you soon. So one of my favorite things is when the Trumpster fire insults our American government in general and says, nobody's ever done this. It's been stupid for so long. Can't believe no one's ever done this. Finally, somebody's doing it. How many times have you heard him say that? And you're just like, dude, are you forgetting that you were El Presidente for 4 years ago? So you're saying that you were just as stupid as the rest of them because you didn't do it either, or whatever it is. Cracks me up. And again, I think it's part of the dementia, the Alzheimer's. I think he's literally not realizing that he's talking smack about himself. So yeah, the defiancy that we see in him, the defiancy that we see in his cabinet, in the administration, and these effing bootlickers, like, how can anyone be so shameless to just suck up like that and to be so stupid? Like all those douchebags standing around in the Oval Office yesterday while he's sitting on his arse at the Resolute desk with his eyes at half mast, barely making sense. I mean, half of the time he was not even making sense. And these fools like Howard Lippman and JD Vance and one of them, is it Howard Lippman, maybe, that Hal Sparks calls Nutlick? That's a good one. That other guy, Scott Bissett, all of these douchebags just standing around laughing at the Trumpster fire's stupidest, mindless jokes and just literally applauding him when he, fills his diaper? I mean, come on. This stuff is insane. Like, how do these grown-ups think they're going to impact the world with their life here on the planet? Enabling this mob boss, basically. They think that's going to get them somewhere. I mean, hopefully it will. Hopefully it will get them all in jail. But in the meantime, the damage that's done to the vulnerable, to the elderly, to the young, to the sick. Oh, yeah, he does say it all the time, Annabees. He definitely says it all the time. Oh, man. So this douchebag, Prince Andrew, and his denial that he ever met Virginia Giuffre, or he denies that he can remember. I don't remember ever meeting that woman. His insistence that the photograph, that she's so lucky she has that photo. Imagine if she didn't have that photo. None of this would have ever happened. She would have never gotten anywhere with prosecution of little E, Ghislaine, or Andrew. But they will swear up and down that that photo is fake, that it's photoshopped. And with her deceased, I believe they think that they can undo the damage, that they want to say that she's done this damage to them. So my point, and I'm not saying it very articulately, very well, is that in denying that they victimized her, they're literally trying to claim that Virginia Giuffre has victimized them by creating these stories that are so very hurtful. And that is what perps do. That is what gaslighters do. They always turn the table. They always play the victim. Like, really? You're the freaking prince of a country? And you're trying to say that this previously homeless American uh, wreck slave, you're trying to say that she's ruined your life, that she had enough power to hurt you and take you down? You didn't have any power to hurt her or to take her down. So sad. So pathetic. And I'm pretty sure that Ghislaine has been requesting to get Donnie to have a conversation with her. And if he does that, man, he is playing with fire. Yeah, he's pretty untouchable. He can basically get away with anything he wants, right? I mean, he could literally take a weapon and empty the barrel into a person in broad daylight in the middle of Fifth Avenue with hundreds of witnesses and get away with it, just like he said years ago. I don't think that's an exaggeration. He's got enough sycophants that will spin anything any which way they can. Like when he's crashing the freaking economy and Janine Pariah, whatever the hell her name is like, well, I don't care about my 401k anyway. And then there was some other like YouTuber who was like, so what if you lose money? Like it builds character. There's nothing wrong with losing money. It's part of life. You lose money. Then the minute there's a bit of an uptick on the stock market, they want to give him credit for that. Like, but remember, money doesn't matter. You don't care about your 401k. And now you're taking away all the character that's been built in all these people that lost money. I mean, these people are just literally insane. But then the problem is when you call out the gaslighters, you look like the crazy one. And I'll be the first to say that because I've done it before. I'm doing it right now. When you're trying to call this crap out, it's completely insane. And I think that's why a lot of times we just don't even waste our time or effort on it because, ain't nobody got time for that, right? Thanks for listening. So what else do I have here in my notes? So when the COVID happened and there was no toilet paper to be bought anywhere, that was pretty weird. And I remember everything shutting down for like a week. Like I don't know if there were any, I don't think there were flights. I don't remember anything happening when everybody was basically laid off except for essential workers, of course, like hospital workers and first responders. But all of us were like forced to file for unemployment and we were getting paid to not go to work, to not spread any diseases. And there was like no pollution, like the whole ecosystem of the planet like cleaned itself up. The satellite pictures were phenomenal. The animal sounds and the bird sounds were phenomenal. It was wild. So there's like the upshot to it, but then the downside is how much that hurt the economy. Obviously the downside of how many people were suffering or didn't survive from the pandemic. The only time I remember the world coming to a stop like that in my lifetime was after 9/11, when all the airplanes were grounded for about a week or 8 days. But why do I get the feeling that it's going to happen again, that everything's going to shut down again? And for that to have happened already once on Donnie's watch, if it happens twice on his watch, that's not a coincidence. I never suspected really that he was behind the release of the COVID virus until kind of recently, maybe the last month or 6 weeks. I've thought, It seems like something he would do to thin the herds, as they say, to try to gain control over systems, financial systems, air traffic control, electronic systems. And I remember he would always call it the China virus, the China virus. But the way he would say China was like a woman's body part. It was just so freaking rude. The China virus. It's like, dude, could you be any more disgusting? I don't think so. Not in my opinion. So yeah. Fred Field, hello. Darn work made me miss most of your rant. Oh, you can catch it on the replay, crew. But yeah, I've just been talking about, my favorite person, the one who's trying to destroy our planet and all the living creatures on it, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly. And man, does he not have enough golf courses for him to be talking about little baby girls that are 11 and 15 not needing $30, but $2 or $3 or $4, maybe five at the most. How many effing golf courses does this monster have? How many freaking golf courses? How many bodies does he have buried on his golf courses? We know of the one at Bedminster. Literally. Why would that be? Why would he want to keep possession of Ivana's remains on his private property? To ensure that nothing is ever tested or discovered or excavated? It doesn't get much creepier than that. Like the old saying, like, oh, well, that person knew too much. They knew where all the bodies were. He owns a lot of golf courses all over the world. It's really atrocious. And he brags about it too. They're all waterfront property. He was talking about one yesterday in Aberdeen, Scotland, that he was having trouble getting the permits. But then his good friend, James Bond, aka Sean Connery, stepped in and got the green lights rolling. And it's like, dude, you're the freaking president. Could you just not name drop? I think what he wants people to know is that he's chummy with somebody who plays James Bond. Like, he wants to be James Bond. He wants to be the spy who loved me. And then we've got freaking Elon wanting to be Captain Kurt, right? Sleeping with all the blue aliens to have alien babies for his baby farm. So yeah, I've just been talking more about the same old cray. Fred, nice to see you. Thanks for being here. So yeah, the shortages of the toilet paper, the shortages of basically anything and everything is what we're looking at. And I mean, it's pretty freaking worrisome. And then if people go panic buy, then that's going to make it worse. Like, I think that's what happened with the toilet paper. I don't know. I mean, that whole toilet paper thing was ridiculous. Pretty unbelievable. So we're just at an hour. I've been keeping them shorter lately. So yesterday I was talking about the freaking Navy fighter jets falling off of the Truman vessel out there in the Red Sea. the Super Hornet fighter jets, 2 of them, to the tune of $330 million. And it was just because people were not paying attention or making mistakes. And nobody passed away in either of these massive losses. But the way they worded the last one, that these 2 pilots were ejected, it was something when they were landing, they'd been shot at by the Houthis, and then they were having trouble landing. They ejected out of their fighter jet, and they survived, but they had minor injuries. It didn't make sense the way the information was being disseminated. It sounded like they might have been hurt kind of bad, and that it just wasn't information that they were willing to make public. But I mean, initially it sounded like with both of the fighter jets falling into the drink, that it was just like, oops, oh, how'd that happen? Human error, basically. Really trying to downplay it, really trying to keep people in the dark. Now I'm thinking that it was all attacks from the Houthis, that the Houthis got our multi-million-dollar fighter jets. It wasn't just Americans making mistakes and not paying attention. I mean, what a weird thing to try to play off. One was huge. Just one was absolutely mammoth and insane. And then 2 in a week? Shaking my head. Oh. The toilet paper was very ridiculous. No TP. We can't use a Cirrus catalog as backup either. I had all kinds of backup plans, like, baby wipes. There was like an emergency stash of baby wipes in our house, washcloths, because, yeah, you can just wash things. Bidets are something that the British use that are supposed to be pretty healthy anyway. But it was never really a problem. I mean, it was often a panic and the shelves were empty. But somehow the shipments would come in and everybody would run to the store and get theirs. And OMG. The fighter jets, that doesn't ever happen. No, never. Except under Trump administration, under Pete Hegsbreath. Thank goodness I never had to live through that. And yes, you're correct. Too weird to not be on purpose. And how does Hegsbreath still have a freaking job, man? What is the dirt that he has on the Trumpster fire? I mean, he's a good-looking guy. He could get the ladies. Same with Matt Gaetz. And Matt Gaetz loved bragging about the underage chicks, showing photographs of them to his coworkers on his phone. That's the only reason he didn't get the job that Pam Bondi is in. Oh, did you know that Laura Loomer hates Pam Bondi? I did not know this. She calls her Pam Blondie. And man, I think she's jelly. I think that Laura Loomer is screwing our president. And that he's got an eye on Pam Blondie and Caroline with a K too, and that Laura Loomer is not very happy about that. I mean, she's got very dark hair. It'd be very hard for her to go blonde, and blonde is definitely his type. I mean, it's a lot of people's type. Like Virginia Giuffre, she was kind of your typical protege of the beautiful blonde Barbie type. And honestly, so was Kylie. I mean, she had more spunkiness and character in her personality and in her the way she presented herself. But she was very much that typical hot babe that every guy has as a dream girl. You know, tall and slender, long blonde hair, not blue eyes, but green eyes, even better, you know. And then the cleverness, the creativeness, the music that girl produced. I can't help but think the man on trial right now, Sean Combs, probably knew of her. I mean, when if you saw the Surviving R. Kelly series, these musicians, producers, they are scouring the nation and the world at all times looking for new talent. Not so much, I mean, sure, they want to make money on it, but they want the hot young babes, and they know that they can manipulate them by coercing them with promises of musical success. It's pretty easy. It's pretty freaking easy for these douchebags. Oh, he probably can't even get it up. Yeah, I mean, that's what Viagra is for. And wasn't it Matt Gaetz who was like bragging about Viagra and Red Bull and going all night? I mean, that man was only in his 30s, I think. It's like, dude, you should not need chemical assistance with that. Come on. But yeah, ugh, so gross. So gross. And Laura Loomer, like, she's just disgusting. And then she's trying to use like feminism as a weapon, like, oh, for people to say that they think I'm sleeping with him. What would the feminists say about that? As if I couldn't convince him of things without sleeping with him. It's like, girl, we all know how the world works. And yeah, the phrase getting in bed with somebody is a metaphor, but it's also very literal, especially in politics. That's what they do. That's what lobbyists do. They literally sleep with people to get them to vote the way they want them to vote. It's a requirement. It's a job requirement. Did anyone see Shan's live yesterday? I don't know if I can find 3 hours to watch it. So yeah, we were all there, Fred. We missed you. You know, I would say that it's worth it if you can play it while you're busying yourself doing the things that you need to do. And it's, I mean, I don't want to say it's like the same old, but you know, we've been over this material so many times, and I love that Shan is just hammering away at it, and she's got so much skill and talent to do that. And you know, she's always got a new angle or new information. I mean, I'd say it's worthwhile, but most of what I liked about it last night was just kind of hanging with the squirrels. I wasn't there for the entire thing, but I was there for most of it. I think I got there like 20 minutes in and probably fell asleep. I don't know. I remember kind of waking up when she signed off, so I probably fell asleep like the last half hour. Fred, yes, we saw it last night. Both me and Jazz fell asleep listening to her, just like the old days, right, Anna? So funny. I know there were times when I would like stay up as late as I could until she signed off, but then there were a couple of times where I would not make it, and then I'd in the morning, I'd see that she stayed on until 6 or 7, or she was still on, and I'd be like, oh man, thank goodness I didn't try to stay awake the entire time. Oh, she would do those marathons. I'll never forget, like the 9-hour one. 9 hours, it was close to 10 hours. I think I was on her panel for part of it, but there was like a part of that giant 9-hour one that was very key. And I remember going back and trying to dig through it to find the part that I was looking for. I don't remember what it was right now, but it'll come to me, especially when I'm out gardening. That's where I get my most brilliant ideas, right? And yeah, she said she's doing a lot of gardening. She's not doing much on the YouTube, which, I kind of feel like it's my heroin, and I have to like quit it every day. And I do, I do other things, believe it or not. I just kind of always have it going in the background. And I used to try to do things on double speed or have like one thing on my phone and another thing on my laptop. I can't stand doing that. That just stresses me out. And I don't really take in the information. I mean, it's hard enough to take it in just when I have one thing on at a time at regular speed. A lot of times I need to watch something twice or even 3 times if it's real key and I'm trying to make sure that I got the information right. Honestly, like even that crap yesterday with the UK deal, I was just like, my head was just spinning. I had to watch it a few times. I'm like, that wasn't a deal. What was that? That was a performance. That was a show. That was a reality television show. It's called The Apprentice in the Oval Office, right? Laugh or cry. Ah, yes, I was there for the 9 hours. OMG, Anna Bees, that's amazing. That is amazing. Good for you. My 2:40 a.m. work alarm messages with watching late lives. OMG, Fred, I'm opposite schedule from you. I can't do mornings. Yeah, I know. It's hard. It's really hard. I haven't done it that much in my life, but my husband has, and just, it puts your body through a lot. It puts your family through a lot, but it has its perks too, right? So I think in the hospital is a lot like with law enforcement. It's where the real work happens, is the overnight shifts, and you don't have to deal with all the administrative crap that you have to deal with during the day, all the red tape. I mean, you still have it, but it's more minimalized, and you're just dealing with real people, real crises. I mean, medical situations, I think, are worst at about 3 a.m. Like, the evening is when most people's medical symptoms start getting really exacerbated, and most crises happen around 3 in the morning. I mean, look at Idaho 4. Case in point, but that's when most crises happen. That's when the crazy shit happens, is about 3 a.m., give or take an hour, right? Less foot traffic. Most emergencies happen at night. Well, it's when, in the old days, they would say it's when the spirits are out. It's when the spookiness happens. It's when the crazy happens. Yeah, it's a thing. That's why they call it the witching hour. I think the witching hour is 3 o'clock until 4 o'clock. Let me see what Google says, because I haven't picked up Google once this whole time, but I've had my phone plugged in and it's not even charging, but that's okay. It's got a charge on it. The witching hour. Okay, this is what the AI overview says, which is sometimes accurate and sometimes not. Artificial intelligence, it's like fake intelligence. The witching hour can refer to two distinct concepts: midnight, often associated with supernatural beliefs, and a period in late afternoon or early evening when babies become unusually fussy. In folklore, the witching hour, specifically at midnight, is believed to be a time of increased supernatural activity and the strongest power for witches and other supernatural beings. For babies, the witching hour is a time of intense fussiness and difficulty to soothe, often due to overstimulation and tiredness. I'm going to read the rest of this because it's not that long. The belief that the witching hour is associated with supernatural activity, particularly at midnight, stems from folk beliefs that certain times of the day and year are more conducive to such phenomena. Midnight in particular is often associated with magic and the potential for unpredictable and potentially can't say it, malevolent. I think I said it. I can usually say it. Potentially malevolent happenings. This refers to a period typically in the late afternoon or early evening when babies and toddlers become unusually fussy and difficult to soothe. The fussiness is often linked to overstimulation and tiredness, as well as other factors like hunger, gas, or discomfort. While some believe the witching hour is from midnight to 1 a.m., others, like Anne Rice in her novel The Witching Hour, placed it at midnight, or more broadly, the period of intense supernatural activity. The baby witching hour is generally considered to be between 5 p.m. and 11 p.m., though the exact timing can vary. So this is funny because that's just AI, and then Reddit says the witching hour, midnight versus 3 a.m., which is what I've always. And then, see, like I said, artificial intelligence is wrong because the first question here is, why is 3 a.m. known as the witching hour? What happens at 3 a.m.? Let's see. Ooh, I didn't know that there was a Jesus thing behind it. Okay. The argument over timing is a divisive one. There are a few thoughts behind the devil's hour landing between 3 and 4 a.m. The predominant reasoning lies within religious texts. Jesus was crucified at 3 p.m., and the inverse of that would be 3 a.m., making it an hour of demonic activity, according to folklore. Yikes. It's creepy. Does the Bible say anything about 3 a.m.? It doesn't explicitly state that 3 a.m. is a time of demonic activity. It does reference the fourth watch, which corresponds to the period between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. This time has been associated with vulnerability and increased spiritual awareness, with some interpretations suggesting it's a time of heightened spiritual activity, potentially demonic, or a time for prayer and seeking God's mercy. See, my grandmother, when they were retired farmers, she loved waking up at like 4 a.m. and having that time to herself from about 4 a.m. until probably 6 a.m. when my granddad would wake up. And I never thought of it as being like supernatural. I just thought of it as her like private, personal time. Because as a wife of a colonel in the Army, she had a lot of demands on her all of the time. She was everything to everyone. So, Patricia Moss, nice to see you. Caught you live, but I'm going to start at the beginning. Love you, Jazzy Zena. Oh, you're so nice. Really nice to see you. 3 a.m. is the opposite of when Jesus passed away. I don't know if the Bible says anything about 3 a.m. Yeah. I know he was 33 years old when he was crucified, and I saw something in all of that about 333 being like a spooky time or something. Because, yeah, a lot of people have their psychotic breaks at the age of 33, not even knowing that that was how old Jesus was when he passed away. Was red rummed. Let's see. Here's the question. Why is 3:33 a.m. scary? It's rooted in folklore and superstition, specifically with the concept of the witching hour and devil's hour, which traditionally refers to the time between 3 and 4. During this time, it's believed that the veil between the living and the supernatural is thin. Aha, that's right. Making it easier for spirits and other entities to interact with humans. Additionally, some people associate 3:33 a.m. with religious interpretations, where the crucifixion of Jesus is said to have occurred at 3 p.m. and 3 a.m. is seen as the inverse or the devil's hour. Well, that is wild, especially with like the whole like 666 thing. And then, like I said, with his age being 33 years old. Wow. So there was some other stuff that I wanted to share with you guys, but maybe we should sign off for today because it's already close to 90 minutes. And then I can try to organize those thoughts and ideas and put them together in my next video, which will hopefully be over the weekend, but I can never make a promise for over the weekend. It might not be until Monday. But I did get my sound better on my yoga video last night. I hadn't realized how poor the sound was when I do my yoga videos. And so I actually used the mic to make it more better. So if anybody's been trying to do the yoga videos and had trouble with the sound, the most recent one, the one from last night, which I think has like 4 photographs on the thumbnail, 4 different yoga poses, that would be the one to do because you'll be able to hear it as well as see the visual cues. And man, that routine is kicking my booty. I can't believe how hard it is what I was going to say. But at the same time, it can be easy if you make it easy. But I usually like to push myself as hard as I can. And it is quite a workout when you push yourself to the limit. But the whole thing with yin yoga, and it is yin yoga, and this is probably why I've chosen to really focus on yin yoga, because I always overdo things. And the whole thing with yin yoga is to not overdo it, to not push yourself to capacity, but to know where your edge is and then back off, because you can do that workout with the minimal amount of effort and just kind of going through the motions, following the instructions, and you'll get a good workout, like literally with the minimal amount of effort. And you're sitting down and laying down the entire time. So it's pretty chill. So I would highly recommend it for anybody who's interested that feels like they could take it on. There is a lot of knee work and hip work. So I always like to recommend to people to be careful when starting any type of new exercise routine and to check with your physician. So I admit people wake up at 3 a.m. and things go crazy, but that's also when lab comes. Yeah, but I think that even if lab didn't come, that's totally a thing. I always blame it on the lab waking patients up. Well, I know, and that's the worst when you're in the hospital. Like the only time I've really been hospitalized is when having my children, because I've had to have all of them cesarean. And then you're usually hospitalized for like 3 days after a C-section. And I have giant babies, is why they all had to come cesarean, because they're like 10 pounds like I was. It's just ungodly. Actually, my tiniest baby was 9 pounds 3 ounces, but my largest was 10 pounds 7 ounces. That was the first one. That was crazy because we didn't know, and we tried to do a natural childbirth. But anyway, all's well that ends well. It drives you nuts when you're in the hospital. This is what I was starting to say. And the nurses will come in, they'll wake you up, and then they'll stick you with the needle or whatever for the labs. And then they'll say, get some rest. And it's like, yeah, I was until you came in. Always blame it on the lab waking the patients up. I work tomorrow too. My daughter was 10 pounds and 13 and a half ounces. Anna B's, I swear, we're like the twins, the sisters from the other mothers. Were you a 10-pound baby too? I was 9 pounds, 15 ounces. And my mom did have me au natural, but she was 6 feet tall and had better birthing hips than I do. I'm only 5'7" and birthing hips. That reminds me of the Koberger case. That was like the guiltiest sin that they could find about him in his whole lifetime, was that he told a date that she had good birthing hips. So I say, give him the execution. Get the firing squad on him. You do not tell a woman she has good birthing hips unless you want to die. No, I was 6 pounds and some ounces. That's crazy. My husband was over 9 pounds, because the best predictor of your baby's birth weight is your own birth weight. I'm wondering if you were early, maybe. But man, 10 pounds, 13 and a half ounces. Did you get this baby out naturally? I hope not. I hope you had a cesarean. Spare your girl parts. He was 6'4" and a half. Oh, wow. That's very, very tall. That's almost like too tall. Like that's kind of the cutoff. Like, hot tall versus like too tall. I'd say 6'5". Like 6'5" is still hot tall. But anything over 6'5" is just like goofy tall. Unless somebody's extremely well coordinated, which usually they're not when they're that tall. Unless they're like professional basketball player or something. Anyway, I'm going to sign off. Love and light. It's a long story. They pretty much killed us, yes, but natural. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. Whew. Well, I'm glad that you both survived. Because, yeah, mine turned into a life and death situation for both of us, too. It did. But we came out mostly unscathed. I did have some postpartum psychosis, actually, because all the medications that they pumped me full of. Plus, I was in labor for like 36 hours. So without food and water and sleep. And then the emergency C-section. So that was the worst part, is like, being in labor for a day and a half and then having a C-section. It's like you could have just had a C-section at the very beginning and saved all of the pain and agony of it all. But yeah. When I say postpartum psychosis, it was like I wasn't like hearing voices or seeing things, but it was almost like I was. It was like over the doorway of the bedroom at home where I was recuperating when we got back from the hospital. It was like I could see a TV above the doorway, but it wasn't there. But the white noise was there. It was like fuzzy and the channels were changing and there were just like parts of people's words and sentences, but mostly just the white noise and the snow, like from an old school TV. It was bizarre. It was really bizarre. So I was lucky that that was as bad as the postpartum psychosis got. That and a cute story about my friend who came to visit me, and when she came into the bedroom to see me, she was like, do you need anything? Can I get you anything? And I was like, yeah, there's this thing down at the end of the thing that you just walked through to get here. And she was like, the hall? I was like, yeah, that's it, the hall. It's down at the end of the hall. I couldn't remember the word to save my life. And I've always just thought that was like one of the funniest things my brain ever did. I'm like, that portal, that tunnel that like brought you from the other room into this room. She's just like, huh? Is that the word you're looking for? Too funny. He was coordinated. The doctor wouldn't do a C-section. He refused. Oh, screw him. Except if it was beyond his level of expertise, then I say good call. But if it was because he thought that you should just push this baby out, then I say screw him, because you are not your physician's political agenda. Which I had a midwife and they were hell-bent on me getting that baby out the old-fashioned way. When I didn't care if I had a cesarean, I just wanted a healthy baby. You know, if I need a cesarean, I need a cesarean. Like, some people see that as a failure. I don't. I see getting like ripped and torn up and broken bones down there is, I don't know, necessarily a failure, but very painful and unnecessary if you can avoid it. And I've known people who've had all of those things, the tears, the, where they've had to cut so that you don't tear, or even broken bones. I mean, it is messed up. Or the child having to get their collarbone broken to get out of the birth canal. Like, I would not want that for my baby either. Like, no, don't go breaking my baby's collarbone when they're not even born yet. Let them come out healthy. Please. And then they got the cute little round head too. That's the big bonus with cesareans, is that you don't have like the funny cone head that babies get from going through the birth canal. They're more photogenic from day one. Sometimes their heads are almost too round though. And then they say that it's supposed to be healthier to have all of that pressure, that there's like chemicals that are released in the brain for the baby that, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know that there's any scientific proof of that. So they almost, unalived us. They were able to resuscitate my daughter. I had to get blood transfusions for 48 hours. OMG. OMG. I missed the one right before that. Yes, your thoughts about past the point of no return is very encouraging. I feel the same way as well. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, and this is something I learned in my mental health career, and especially with crisis work, with working in an acute psychiatric facility, is that things have to get worse before they get better. That if they don't get just god awful, you don't fix what's not broken. So the more screwing up that this administration does, sometimes I'm relieved. Like the fact that they're absolutely refusing to send Mr. Garcia back to the US. I'm like, good, because while they're in complete defiance of the court system, they can really have severe consequences with that. Whereas if they just went ahead and returned Mr. Garcia, then they'd get a gold star for doing the right thing. So sometimes I try to remember that as I'm like, oh my goodness, not this, not that, not more. But yeah, the whole thing with trying to let the big E run the universe and run the flight patterns of everything in the air and financials, all of the cryptocurrency scams, that gets really scary, really scary. But like, I know, like, education is one of the things that they're trying to decimate along with everything else. But like in Kentucky in particular, they had a really bad educational system. And then they revamped it. I think it was in the late 80s or something. I'd have to look online. But when they brought it back to life, like the zombie educational system, it was better than ever. It became one of the best educational systems in the country. It's like a model for what we can do, really. But yeah, the Trumpster fire is really the zombie president too, with having had his 4 years and then coming back, right? The angry orange zombie president. You wouldn't believe what he said. He said, all of my babies were born natural and I'm tired of women taking the easy way out. You know what I say to that, Annabes? There is no easy way out, MF. OMG. Again, you're not his freaking professional agenda. You and your baby, it could have cost you guys your lives. Like, screw him. What a rat bastard, man. You know what I said when I had a blood infection that made me start shaking uncontrollably, which was why they had to do a cesarean at the last minute, right before she started to come down the birth canal. I said, thank God for that blood infection when they told me that she was 10 pounds, 7 ounces. I was like, thank God for that blood infection. It saved me. And then when I went back to visit that OB for my first follow-up visit, and I said those exact words, thank God for the blood infection, she was like, oh, pshaw, women around the world deliver 10-pound babies naturally every day of the year. And I just felt like saying, well, feel free, be my guest to sign up for that. But I bet you every single one of those women would have killed to have a cesarean, or at least what are those things called? I keep thinking, where they, the real painkiller. How come I can't think of it? The, because it's time to sign off. That's why when the brain shuts down. Epidural. There we go. The epidural. Yeah. So I hope you at least had an epidural, Annabes, because yeah, they did give me the epidural, and that was something I didn't really want. I was like, no, I want to do it natural. But then when they gave me the epidural, I was like, yeah, I needed that. But it's creepy the way they do it. Like they do the spinal tap and they describe to you what they're going to do before they do it, and how like your nerve endings are in your spine. They're like wet spaghetti noodles. And so when they stab the needle in to give you the spinal tap for the epidural, it pushes the nerves out of the way because they're like the wet spaghetti noodles. But not always. Sometimes it'll stab right into the wet spaghetti noodle and then you're absolutely screwed. So for anybody that doesn't know that, and it's just like, OMG, I was scared to death. But at the same time, you're like, just do it. I'm dying over here. Enough about childbirth. Time to wrap it up, right? I'm just so glad that you came out okay, and that your daughter did too. When they did the surgery to surgically remove her, and I thought they were like overdosing me on the painkillers. I really did. I thought, they're pushing me over the edge. I'm not gonna come out of this. And I didn't really care. I was like, so long as they save the baby, that's all I care about. And it's weird to get to that place. I mean, you don't even know this baby, but you're just like, just save the baby, damn it. I don't care what you do with me, just save the freaking baby. Unless you're Elon Musk and then you take that baby and you wear it on your shoulders because you're pretty sure someone's going to try to shoot you in the head. And if they do, the baby will protect you from death. I mean, that's why he's such a sick freaking bastard. I mean, that's why he wears that kid on his shoulders, for anybody who didn't know. He wears a bulletproof vest, which is one of the reasons why his body is so freaking awkward. I mean, he looks like he's wearing a bulletproof vest even when he's in a swimsuit. Maybe he's got one built in under his skin. Probably. Maybe that's why he can't get it up. It's because they did that bulletproof vest surgery. Okay, let's finish up with all of this. I'm tired of women taking the easy way out. I'm glad I didn't meet your doctor. I would have had to have unalived him. Seriously. Like I said, there's no freaking easy way out, like the Tom Petty song. Once you got that watermelon inside your belly, there's no easy way out. My daughter has had a birth injury to her right arm. Oh, I'm so sorry, Anna Bees. Did she recover, or is it something that is lifelong? She doesn't have full range of motion to her right arm, and she can't straighten it. Now with her MS, she can't use her left arm because she has tremors. Oh man. Wow, I am so sorry. And how old is she? See, the daughter that I'm talking about is like 23. I had her when I was 34. She can't write because she's left-handed. She can barely feed herself with her right hand, can't bring it to her mouth. She has to bend down to her hand. Epidural. Yeah, there you go. You knew what word I was looking for. That is the magic bullet right there. I had a spinal block because they had to pull her out of me. It was a tug of war. They got her right arm out and wrenched it out of place. Oh, damn it. Ugh, crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, Elon is a very sick individual. A very, very sick individual. You know, and it's super sad that his first baby passed away. I want to say that baby's name was like Arizona or Nevada or something like that. Passed away when he was 3 or 4 months old. And, you know, and then he talks about Vivian, his daughter, that's trans. He talks about her like she's deceased. And he says she died of the woke mind virus. It's like, dude, you're freaking dead of the woke mind virus. So yeah, he was named Nevada Musk. 10 weeks from SIDS. And that was his first wife, Justine Wilson. And then I think they went on to have 5 more kids. I think they had twins, both boys. So all 6 of their kids were boys. The twins, and then I think they had triplets. Let's see. Ooh, he claims that Nevada passed away in his arms, and Justine says that's not how it happened. And he says that she says it was in her arms. That is freaky that they would argue about that. He was taken off of life support. So yeah, I think he was in the care of a nanny when he had the SIDS episode. And you know, the babies obviously can just quit breathing. Sometimes it's that they're getting smothered by their own blanket or something, but other times it's just like a sleep apnea. And I mean, it sounds like the kid was extremely neglected. So it's just heartbreaking. So that is bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. My daughter's 40. She does very well. She did so much before the MS. She could do anything, but now MS has taken so much from her. I am so sorry. That is really heavy, my dear. So you were a baby when you had her. Aren't you really close to my age? Are we the same age? I thought we were. I was born in 1967. Were you like 18 when you had her? That is wild. But yeah, my oldest son became a father at 20. Oh, you had just turned 21. Okay. Well, that's better. I mean, just nothing wrong with being young when you have your kids. It's just hard to deal with it. I mean, it's a lot of responsibility. I mean, when I look at myself when I was 18 as opposed to when I was 21, I mean, I'm still not really grown up. I try, but my birthday is the day before hers. Okay, so that would make you like 4 years older than me. Cool. Very cool. Well, thanks again, my dear, for being here. I am going to sign off now, like I keep saying I'm going to. So, love and light. Have a great weekend. Eat your veggies, drink your water, eat your protein, get some fresh air and sunshine, and have a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Much love. See you soon.